Well, the critical question for Julia Gillard is whether this truly marks the end of Kevin Rudd's campaign, despite his insistence that he won't mount another challenge and the government's determination to present a united front after the open warfare of the last week. Skeptics think today was just stage one in a two-step bid to regain the Prime Ministership. In a moment, we'll put that question to key Rudd backer Anthony Albanese, but first, Hayden Cooper reports on the stealth campaign Kevin Rudd denied he was waging.
It's a warm evening in February 2011 and Adelaide's Stag Hotel is heaving with crowds at the opening night of the city's Fringe Festival. But was this the scene for more than just summer revelry? According to those who were there, it was in fact one of the many places Kevin Rudd was seen and heard plotting his revenge.
I certainly was one of the many, many people who saw that behaviour that night.
The sudden brutal dismissal of a Prime Minister stunned the nation in mid-2010. It stunned Kevin Rudd too.
I hope I've been able to demonstrate to you that this has been a very busy 2.5 years.
But how long did it take for the deposed leader to start planning a resurrection?
We've got a zip.
His enemies in the party, and there are many, believe it was instantaneous. So much so that staff in his office took care to photograph the place before leaving, so they'd know how to set it up on Kevin Rudd's return. Only weeks later, his presence haunted Julia Gillard's every move in the election campaign. A devastating cabinet leak almost brought it undone.
12 days into the election campaign, the Prime Minister's cheery demeanour has cracked, and it wasn't Tony Abbott who caused it. Labor has a leaker in its ranks, and Julia Gillard says she's angry. She halted campaigning today to deal with claims that she'd argued against pension increases and paid parental leave when she was in the Rudd cabinet.
At the time, Kevin Rudd was suspected. In the past week, the suspicions have erupted into open accusations.
The 2010 election was sabotage. We were in a winning position in that campaign until the sabotage that knocked that campaign very, very solidly.
Kevin talks about stealth. I mean, this has been a covert operation and he's up there operating the drone 24 hours a day because he never sleeps. He's always manipulating something.
There's no doubt that Kevin has been engaging in undermining of the government for more than a year now.
To this day, he denies it.
Yeah, but behind the scenes, you can categorically guarantee you did not leak anything, or your staff, in the lead up to the 2010 election.
We did nothing of that sort. It's very easy for people to run around and make those accusations. You know that as well as I do.
Bruce Hawker is one of Kevin Rudd's closest advisors. Many caucus members blame Kevin Rudd for the cabinet leaks during the 2010 election campaign. Is that a main part of the reason why he lost today?
No, I don't think that was the reason. I think a lot of people who were involved in his removal in 2010 became very agitated at the prospect of his return and went out and publicly attacked him in a way that really forced him to resign.
In the Foreign Affairs portfolio, the former Prime Minister found a high-profile, high-flying job, and he used it to his advantage. But his performance in the role often raised eyebrows. When the world was focused on London's royal wedding, he was there, convening a meeting of the Commonwealth Ministerial Action Group.
Kevin Rudd, good to see you, mate.
Look after
Enjoy
yourself.
Yeah,
enjoy the wedding, and all the world loves a lover.
His colleagues at home saw it as an attention-seeking stunt designed to trump the Prime Minister's own appearance later that week.
I sing like a cow.
At last November's Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, Kevin Rudd was again conspicuous.
We can eliminate polio from the planet.
7:30 can provide a glimpse of the behind-the-scenes lobbying underway that week. Mr Rudd's Chief of Staff, Philip Green, met several business leaders on the sidelines of the summit. He reassured them that a future Rudd government would not revisit past issues with business. It would let bygones be bygones. They were told that Kevin Rudd was being practical and moving forward, that old arguments over workplace laws, emissions trading and the mining tax would not be fought again.
We follow it simply because we are us.
Labor's national conference provided another flashpoint as leadership tensions grew. Julia Gillard's speech pointedly ignored her predecessor. Later that night in a Darling Harbour restaurant, Kevin Rudd ridiculed the speech to a table of journalists. He complained of being airbrushed from history and scorned the "We Are Us" refrain. For many, the encounter confirmed what others believed they saw earlier that year at the Stag Hotel, a former leader intent on getting his job back. There, he's accused of calling Julia Gillard a childless, atheist ex-communist.
I certainly was one of the many, many people who saw that behaviour that night, but I would say this is about being honest with the community.
That's not true. What other people may choose to reflect on in those conversations is a matter for them.
How you feeling, Mr Rudd? You confident, Mr Rudd?
Today, some of Kevin Rudd's team believe caucus made the wrong decision.
Clearly, there's a disconnect between public opinion and caucus opinion, and caucus is just going to have to deal with that disconnect now and make sure that Julia Gillard really does start to, be seen as the leader that the public want.
Is that possible?
Oh, I think it is, but it'll be hard. It's going to be much harder than if Kevin Rudd had been leader.
But does the rumoured two-stage strategy still exist? In his campaign, Kevin Rudd is known to have briefed a handful of journalists on his intentions to challenge not once, but twice.
The thing with the journalists is the most obvious smoking gun. And until it's denied, this is really very serious evidence of undermining of a Prime Minister and a Labor government.
It seems fairly clear now that Kevin Rudd has been briefing journalists, that in those briefings he told them that there is a two-step strategy: challenge once and lose, and then come back and challenge again. Is that the path that he is likely to follow?
Well, I think he's given a very clear undertaking, both before the ballot and since then, that that's going to end now. There's not going to be a two-stage approach. He's been out there and said he's not going to challenge again, and I think we can believe him with that.